Hey, welcome back to Cash Pallets, brought to you by Liquidation University. My name is Brent. I'm going to walk you guys through, are you prepared? Are you prepared to sell a pallet, a truckload? We'll just start with pallets today, but are you prepared to sell pallets by the bulk? Are you prepared to get every single bit of that stuff sold, even the stuff that's hard to sell and may not sell on where you're currently selling at? Because if you're not prepared, this is a good video for you guys. So let's start out with the basics. If I'm going to buy a pallet, I know I'm going to get some things in that I may or may not want or know how to potentially sell on the platform that I'm currently selling on. Example would be, let's say I buy pallets and I take them to the flea market. That could be the place where people take most of the stuff that they're buying in bulk, or by the pallet, I should say, and then turning around and taking it to the flea market and trying to sell it there. Is that truly the best way to make the best bang for your buck? I mean, I don't know the answer, but I would gamble to say that the answer is probably not 100% on every item. So if I got to, like, say for an example, let's say a couple Target pallets that I purchased, and let's say I spent $1,200 on those two pallets, and we've got approximately, I don't know, this for argument's sake, let's just make the math easy, 120 items. That makes each item a cost of $10 each. Probably more like 240 items, so I guess I can cut that in half and make it a $5 cost per item. So that means you got to gain $5 per item on each item that you have in that particular, those particular loads or those particular pallets, in order even to just break even on those particular pallets. So it's a wise choice to take and sell every single thing at the flea market. I always say that for us, we kind of evaluate things from a different point of view. We look at things like, okay, first and foremost, what can we sell online at an absolute premium? So the quality of the item is important. So looking at that, I'm looking at brand new items or lightly used items. Something that can go on eBay very easily would be a lightly used item. Example of those would be like on a Target pallet, it would be like, let's say, a pair of shoes that has a torn box or something that it came in that have never been worn, but they're out of the box, or the box is damaged. Those kinds of things. Or you could be looking at, let's say a 5-pack of boys underwear, let's say, or girls stuff, socks, whatever it might be, that is opened and people have gone through there. That might be an example of some things that would go on eBay, lightly opened, not used per se, but definitely not brand new, open box style, things that we can get rid of. Because if I put those things at a flea market, what's my best bet? Maybe $1. If at best, I mean, you're just definitely not going to get a premium for that whatsoever. That said, if I put it on eBay, for instance, I could take a 5-pack or say a 12-pack of, let's say, socks. I can definitely flip those for, maybe $10, $12, and probably collect between, say, $8 and $9 after fees are paid. So it's important to know where I can get the best bang for my buck with regards to these items. So online is definitely something you want to have in your arsenal when you go to make these purchases to get the most out of it. Not saying you can't make some profit by taking the pallets to the flea market. It's just that when you get them there, the profit margins are going to be pretty low. So do I really want to go spend all day at the flea market, spend $1,200 on pallets, drag those to the flea market, only to get $1,500 out, maybe $2,000 at most? That's a stretch for it's a lot of time for a little revenue. So I really would be concerned about that, and I would pick and choose my items I'm going to take out there. Things that I would take out there would be like furniture that's kind of heavy, bulky, that needs to be put together. That's an easy one. Lots of chairs that come like in a single. I don't know why we get those a lot. Like, for instance, I don't know, let's say bar stools. Instead of getting a bunch or 3 or 4, we end up with one, which is not fun because most people like those in pairs or multiples. Let's say something that's missing a couple pieces or parts, that might be a good flea market item. You could definitely take some used, like, let's say clothing, shoes, or whatever it might be. If it's obvious that it's used, that might be a good fit for those things. And or things with a severely damaged box that are gonna push a lower price point. Then there's always the bin store. If you happen to be so lucky to have one of those, then obviously you're probably not buying by the pallet, but you're definitely buying by the truckload. But even then, you definitely want to make sure that as we went through some pallets, we had some Amazon stuff on Friday. We were going through some pallets, getting ready for our the first day of the week, which is $10 day for us on Friday. And we found some items in there that we just know won't sell well in our bin store. They were cesarean section, for the female, for the scar, to cover up the scar, to, it's basically like this gel strip that they put on there to help the scar heal better. And so, I mean, if I put those in the bin store, I'd be lucky to drive $1, but if I put them online, they're worth 12 bucks each. So we ended up having about 25 of them, already sold through about half of them, and it's only been a few days. So you just got to kind of know your target market that you have at the bin store, at the flea market, and so on and so forth. Now let's expand this a little bit further and talk about items and size. I think it's important to look at the size of things. If you have an item, let's say that's larger and heavier, and it's at a price point, let's say 20 bucks, it's going to be difficult to put it online and sell it and ship it for any type of profit. So let alone your $5 or $10 you need to make either a profit or break even. So those particular items we like to sell either at the bin store at a price point probably a little bit higher than the bin prices. Let's say, for instance, what's a good example? Let's say detergent or something like that. We definitely wouldn't put those in the bins. We would put them at special pricing. Or if it really works out well and the pricing's right, let's say it's a high quality one, then we can definitely look to sell that on, let's say, Facebook. That's a great resource for a lot of people. A little bit underutilized in some cases, probably by us as well. But we can take something like that detergent, put it on Facebook, and drive just a slight premium on that, higher than we could get if we sold it in our bin store or our discount side of the bin store. So things to consider as well. So other items that I think that you probably want to consider selling locally versus on let's say taking it to the flea market would be, again, those furniture style things. We tend to put those in our store or our Facebook page in order to drive traffic to our store. So we'll take things like, let's say, filing cabinets and or sets of furniture, like we talked about those bar stools. We had a set of 4 bar stools the other day. Somebody put those on our store, and we actually drove several people to come look at them at the store, and then they turned into customers to buy at the bin store as well. So lots of options here, but just make sure you're prepared for all these steps you have to take, because even above and beyond all the things that you can sell easily, you have to look at things like that you can't sell. Examples would be like maybe expired food. I mean, people will buy the expired food, but let's get real. It's difficult to sell at a premium or resell, period, in many cases. And so donating that food would be a strong I'd build a strong case around donating that food to a homeless shelter or a food kitchen of some kind. Giving the food away to people we have some homeless that come in and shop from time to time, so we tend to give them the food if we can, and they're appreciative. So just consider that. I think have a company in your back pocket that's willing to take the food. I mean, especially if you're buying Amazon by the truckload, you're going to have a fair amount of it, and so having a resource to get rid of it is important. And so we use the local food bank here in our county, and that works out really well. Additionally, for the dog food and cat food, we tend to get the lower end, let's say sometimes for, let's say, like a Friskies brand. It's certain Frisky brands, or they don't drive a high price. So example would be like a 25 ounce or 24 ounce bag of cat food, where that's going to cost me 12 bucks to ship if it's the wrong size, and so or more. And so getting that sold in the right way, and either on Facebook or, in worst case scenarios, donating all those bags of food, if necessary, to the SPCA or whatever it might be. So just have your plan of action in place and all the resources you can think of how to get rid of something, and start from the top. Like for us, first and foremost is online methods with all the Amazon, the eBay, the Walmarts that we have. Then from the second tier would be the bin store. That would be the second tier, and then the other side of the bin store, which would be like the local discount store. We run both in the same store every day. And then from there, we look at like Facebook if it's necessary, but we use kind of Facebook together with the secondary side of the discount side of the store. So those two kind of play hand in hand. And then third and final would be like, we'll try to put we'll donate the items. That would be third and final on the list. Now that said, if you have, let's say we have a bunch of items that make it all the way through the bin store and don't get sold, we'll palletize those and sell that pallet super cheap. And those people tend to take them out to the flea market, and instead of us doing it ourselves. So we'll get rid of the stuff that we have by the pallet to somebody who we know is going to go to the flea market and get rid of those items that way. So that said, those are our methodologies. Why don't you give me some comments and some ideas down below? Maybe I missed a few things. Maybe I went too fast and need some more details, which I tend to do. And so maybe I can help you guys find some ways to get rid of everything that you guys have in the store, because that's a huge, big ass problem that we deal with all the time. And if you can have that figured out from the beginning, then you're going to be a lot further ahead than most that don't think about it. All right. Again, this is Brent from Cash Pallets, brought to you by Liquidation University. If you look forward to you guys subscribing and seeing you guys next time. Take care.